They say if the first thing a front door sees is the right kind of green, the day flows easier. Sometimes money arrives without even knocking, but what if the wrong plant stands by the gate? Or worse, what if the right one was never planted at all? Her grandmother used to rise before the sun, not just to tend the garden, but to make sure the land was greeting fortune, not blocking it. Some plants, she said, choke luck right at the doorstep. Others, she wouldn't dare touch. They were money callers planted with prayer, left to face the morning first. So the real question becomes, seedling, what does a home see at sunrise? Dry pots, wild weeds, or leaves that quietly pull wealth into the day? The garden may seem like decoration to some, but in the wisdom passed down, it's the mouth of fortune. And those who know, plant with intention. Welcome back to Wisdom of Feng Shui, where quiet spaces become living magnets for luck. Viewers are invited to share. What's the first plant they see each morning? The answer might explain more than they think. Today's journey: 5 little-known plants found in gardens and courtyards across generations. They don't just grow, they bless. And the first one, most people pull it out thinking it's just a shrub. But she knew better. It was the one that helped her father get out of debt. Not every plant growing by the gate is just decoration. Some hold more than leaves, they hold the energy of stability itself. There was a time when her grandfather never let anyone touch the low, 5-lobed plant growing by the front path. It wasn't pretty, it didn't bloom, but it never moved, never withered, and always stood like a quiet sentinel near the entrance. The schefflera, known to some as the 5-family tree. To them, it was simply the plant that helped keep things together, especially when money tried to slip away. One year, her uncle trimmed it back to make space for a tiled walkway. 2 weeks later, his business hit a strange, slow spell. Customers stopped calling. A deal he had waited months for collapsed over nothing. Her grandmother said nothing, just stared at the empty soil where the plant used to be. Later that month, they replanted it, and the silence passed. Whether it was coincidence or not didn't matter. In Feng Shui, schefflera holds the wood element with a calming earth balance. It's not about attracting fast wealth, it's about holding what's already there. Grounding your income, locking your luck into place. Here's the mistake most people make. They remove the quiet plant that stabilizes their space and replace it with something flashy that drains it. Wealth doesn't just need growth, it needs structure. It needs roots. And schefflera, with its low, strong body and palm-like leaves, quietly tells the home, hold, don't leak. Stay steady. If money keeps arriving, but slipping away through unexpected bills, emotional spending, or unclear priorities, this is a plant that helps bring back grip. It doesn't solve money problems. It helps the energy of money feel welcome to stay. Here, how to invite it in properly. Plant schefflera directly in soil near the entrance path, gate, or perimeter wall, not in a pot. This plant wants to belong. If it already grows in the garden, let it stretch a little. Don't overprune. It works best when it looks like it's settling in for the long haul. One old trick. Some people bury a small coin beneath the roots when planting. It's not superstition, it's symbolic. It tells the space, this plant's job is to guard value. And if it's already there, try noticing it more often. Walk by slowly in the morning. Let your nervous system see stability. She used to pass it every day with tea in hand, tapping one leaf gently, like saying, "You're still with us, right?" It never bloomed, never needed to, it just stayed. And in hard times, that was everything. Some plants don't shout. They don't bloom like fireworks or grow like giants, but they sit there, soft, glowing, and still, pulling quiet luck like a magnet under the floor. That's the kind of plant aglaonema is. And that's exactly why people overlook it. It sat by her kitchen window for years, pale green with soft white strokes, almost like it had been painted. No one in the family ever paid it much attention. It didn't ask for it. But every time she wiped the table or opened the blinds, there it was, calm, clean, and quietly beautiful. It wasn't until they gave it away during a renovation that things in the house started feeling scattered. Money came in, then disappeared again. Relationships got tense. Even sleep grew thin. The mistake here is believing that only bold, structured, tall plants bring prosperity. In truth, the energy of receptivity, the ability to attract and allow, is just as powerful. And aglaonema is exactly that. It draws wealth not through force, but through welcome. It's a soft light in a room full of noise. A quiet yes when the world keeps saying no. Most people don't place this plant where it can actually work. They either hide it in dim corners, forget it entirely, or give up on it because it doesn't grow fast. But that's not its role. This isn't a racehorse, it's a magnet. It needs to be seen, especially in the morning, especially by your subconscious before your thoughts get too loud. Here's what goes wrong. People replace it with something louder, something ornamental but energetically shallow. They put orchids in full sun, even though orchids wilt under too much heat. They choose bright, trendy plants that burn out after a season. But aglaonema, when given soft morning light, stays. It whispers instead of talks. It anchors instead of decorates. If there's been a sense of financial fatigue lately, where effort doesn't match return, where conversations feel off, where the energy in the house is strangely restless, this plant may help realign things. Especially in feminine spaces, bedrooms, kitchens, or reading corners. It holds gentle yin energy, which is vital for attracting balance, partnerships, and supportive wealth. To fix the mistake, do this. Bring in a healthy aglaonema with variegated leaves, light green with soft silver or cream. Place it where morning light touches but doesn't burn. Near a window with filtered light is ideal. And here's the ritual. Once a week, just before breakfast, wipe its leaves gently with a damp cloth. No need to say anything. Just let it know you see it. That's enough. Some people like to place a smooth rose quartz under its pot. Not for magic, but to echo its emotional tone. Calm, receiving, open. One morning, after weeks of financial fog, her cousin sat beside it with a bowl of rice and just exhaled. Later that afternoon, she got a call from a long-lost friend with a job offer. Nothing flashy, but solid, real, a start. Sometimes the energy doesn't need a push. It just needs a plant to hold the door open. The third mistake looks completely different, but works just as quietly. It's not about softness or absence, it's about trying too hard to impress the wrong kind of energy. A plant that glows with luck on the surface, but deep down. It confuses more than it blesses. They called it rare. A good sign. Said that when a dracaena blooms, something beautiful is about to happen. And for a while, it did feel that way. The air smelled different. The house felt light. People smiled more. But then came the twist. It started with strange timing. An old friend showed up needing money. A forgotten debt resurfaced. Then came the opportunity, shiny, urgent, too good to ignore. They took it, lost sleep, lost calm, and eventually lost more than they made. Not every bloom is a blessing. This is the kind of mistake people make when they chase symbols without understanding their rhythm. A blooming dracaena, or what some call lucky bamboo flower, is beautiful, yes, but it also marks a spike in energy, a break in pattern. Something is shifting, and if the house isn't ready, that shift can tip the wrong way. The mistake isn't planting it. The mistake is forcing it to bloom, placing it near front doors, or interpreting its flower as instant wealth without checking the space first. Dracaena is a slow grower. Its power comes from patience, stability. But when it blooms, especially suddenly, Feng Shui tradition sees it as a signal. Something new is entering, and it may not be light. Think of it like a lightning strike in the middle of still water. It shakes everything, not just the good parts. Her aunt had one by the altar, quiet, humble, always green. But when it bloomed, she moved it to the front gate, thinking the flower would call fortune faster. That same month, the family business was approached by investors with shiny promises. They said yes too fast, and for a while, the numbers looked good. Then came the leaks, the contracts, the burnout. Here's the fix, and it's simple. Don't put blooming dracaena in high traffic or high decision areas. Keep it in a calm, shaded place, ideally toward the east or southeast of your home, where wood and gentle growth are supported. If it blooms, don't panic. Don't rush. Instead, slow everything down for a few days. Revisit plans, clean your entrance. Say no to anything rushed. Let the bloom pass before making big choices. If it's still in the bud stage, you can tie a red thread loosely around one stalk, not for luck, but for grounding. It tells the energy, stay steady, don't rush ahead, and if it's already bloomed and you've felt the ripple, it's not too late. Reset the space around it. Clear clutter. Let go of recent emotional noise. The flower isn't bad, it just speaks loudly. What you do after it appears is what matters most. That plant taught her cousin a hard truth. Sometimes the things that shine are not signs to move, but signs to pause. Beauty doesn't always mean green lights. If you've ever had something beautiful happen at the wrong time, too soon, too fast, then you know this feeling. The lesson is simple: don't chase lucky symbols. Plant for balance, not fireworks. Now the next plant is different. It doesn't bloom. It doesn't dazzle. In fact, it barely moves. But that's exactly why it's trusted by those who handle big decisions, heavy responsibilities, and the kind of quiet stress that never gets posted online. She never wanted much attention, but the way she moved through a room, people listened. Even when she was just sitting, back straight, hands folded, the space around her seemed to settle. It's hard to explain, but some people and some plants don't need to speak to lead. That's the presence of a philodendron imperial. Big, dark green leaves, solid, broad. It doesn't curl or climb, it holds, it anchors. And when placed right, it lends that same quality to the space. Quiet decisiveness, financial clarity, emotional stability. But most people get it wrong. The mistake isn't planting it, it's placing it like a trophy. Too close to the front door, too high on display, too exposed. When a plant carries power energy like this one, it shouldn't sit under direct judgment. That weakens it. This is not a decorative plant, it's a strategic one. And just like people who carry too much responsibility too publicly, it starts to break down when it's forced into constant performance. She kept one by her work desk, just behind the chair. Not in the center, not in the spotlight, but always within reach. She said it reminded her to make choices that were strong but slow, not just profitable, but right. When the leaves were upright, she trusted herself. When they drooped, she paused. Simple as that. Her brother tried the same plant in his cafe, right at the front near the window, hoping it would bring in business. The thing started yellowing after 2 weeks. Traffic increased, but so did customer complaints, refunds, burnout. The plant wasn't broken, it was miscast. In Feng Shui, the philodendron represents command energy. It's aligned with leadership, boundaries, and long-term growth. But it doesn't like chaos. It thrives in structured spaces, offices, study rooms, decision corners. And it hates feeling ornamental. If your money life feels unclear, like you keep changing goals, jumping between plans, second-guessing every step, this plant might be missing or sitting in the wrong place. Here's the fix. Place it in your decision zone, behind a desk, near a financial altar, next to a mirror where you set intentions in the morning. Let it witness you, not entertain guests, and don't prune it too often. Let it get wide. That's how it holds the room. Some people tape a small written affirmation to the pot, something like, "I choose slowly, I grow wisely." Not for luck, for alignment. She once whispered that this plant helped her say no to an offer that looked too good. Everyone thought she was being cautious. But 3 months later, that offer collapsed, and her choice looked like wisdom. So if you feel rushed, overwhelmed, or pulled in too many directions, maybe don't change your whole life. Just reposition your strength. Sometimes the most powerful shift is moving a plant 2 feet to the left. The next plant isn't about power at all. It's about charm. Red, bold, unapologetic. And while it attracts attention like a magnet, the question it leaves behind is this: can your space actually handle the energy it brings in? Some plants don't just grow, they announce themselves. You walk past and they stop you. You're not sure why, maybe it's the color, maybe the shape, but something about them feels alive. Not soft, not subtle, but undeniable. That was her relationship with the red anthurium. She never asked for it. Someone brought it as a housewarming gift. It sat on the corner table near the front window, proud and glowing. People kept complimenting it. So beautiful, so vibrant, so full of luck. And for a while, yes, the house felt lucky. Laughter came easily. Visitors dropped by unannounced. The phone rang with good news. But then came the phrase. Little arguments that didn't used to happen. Forgotten things, missed dates. Money flowing in, then flying out just as fast. They couldn't hold anything. And the mood in the house slowly turned sharp. The mistake was never the plant. It was the placement. The energy, the mismatch. Anthurium is fire. Strong, magnetic, commanding. It brings attraction, yes, but attraction is not always gentle. It pulls attention, sparks reaction, it activates. And not every home is grounded enough to hold that heat. They placed it near the heart of the house, not knowing that too much fire in a space without water or earth to balance, it can scorch the very blessings it calls in. It was like lighting a candle in a room full of paper and wind, warm at first, but dangerous if left alone. She moved it later to the south wall of the garden, by the old clay pot and bamboo basin. There, it still burned red, but more softly. The house calmed. Conversations softened. The glow didn't leave, it just stopped blinding them. That's the trick. Not all wealth needs to arrive loud. Not every charm needs to sit in the center. If you've got an anthurium now, don't toss it, honor it, but give it space. Literally, place it in the south zone of the home where fire belongs. Pair it with calming elements nearby, water features, round ceramics, soft music. Don't overwater it. Don't place it where you rest or make financial decisions. Let it be the guest, not the host. If the leaves are turning brown at the tips, if the flower lasts too long without new growth, those are signals. It's either doing too much or being asked to hold more than it should. Some people write a soft wish and tuck it beneath the pot, something open-ended, not urgent. Let the plant warm the path, not pressure it. Her niece once called it the plant that made everything happen too fast. And maybe that's what it does. It tests the room. If the room is ready, it elevates. If it's not, it exposes. By the time they understood it, the lesson was clear. Fire draws, but it doesn't stay. To keep the wealth it calls in, the home must already know peace. So if you've been planting things hoping to attract money, and things start happening all at once, fast money, fast love, fast decisions, step back and ask, is this plant lighting a path or burning the bridge behind it? Because sometimes the mistake isn't planting the wrong thing. It's planting the right thing in a house that's still learning to breathe. Now, with all 5 plants laid out, the quiet holder, the gentle magnet, the sudden spike, the grounded leader, and the fire that charms, it becomes clearer. Luck isn't one shape, and wealth doesn't speak in one tone. It starts with what we see each morning, what we pass on the way to coffee, what we ignore, what we water, and whether we're planting for decoration or for direction. If one of these plants lives near your front gate, your bedroom window, or even a path you walk each day, pause tomorrow. Look at it slowly. Let it speak. Because sometimes money doesn't knock, it grows, and it's already waiting. If this reminded you of someone's garden or a plant you used to walk past without noticing, send this to them. They might be living with quiet wealth and not even know it. Every home carries a rhythm. Some days it hums, some days it aches, and some days it just waits for us to notice what it's trying to say. And often, it speaks through the quiet things. A leaf turning toward the light. A corner that feels calmer than the rest. A plant that seems to thrive right when we need it most. In Feng Shui, luck is not a loud guest. It's a soft current. It moves through alignment, through mornings where we pause before we rush, through the things we grow not for show, but for soul. So thank you for making space to listen today. If any of these plants reminded you of someone's garden or a memory tucked in green, send this video to them. Comment below with it if you're ready to plant with more intention. And if you haven't yet, subscribe. The energy here grows stronger with every mindful viewer. The next piece waiting for you is why the mirror facing your bed affects more than sleep. It's one of the most silent disruptors in the home until you move it and everything shifts. Click over when you're ready, your space speaks. Wisdom listens.